Okay, so sorry. All right, so let's back up. So we'll go through the agenda, the challenges that we're going to face in writing, 6 strategies to help you through the writing process. We'll go through group and individual TA options. So there are technical assistance options and everything. I'll give you some links to be able to sign up for those. But technical assistance will give you that second set of eyes that will help you make sure that you have conveyed in precise enough, the wow factor for your, so it's that kind of set of outside eyes, sort of like the community reviewers that have never really been through your program or anything like that. And we'll be able to help you kind of make sure that you're conveying your information. Hold on one second. I'm going to make Hassani a co-host. There we go. Yep. Thank you. That way she can help me out a little bit if other people pop into the waiting room. So, and then we'll talk about, there's a couple more professional development sessions. We'll go over those real quick. And then we'll ask for any questions. And of course, there's always a survey at the end. All right, so let's just jump right in. So the number one problem with the SFC is it's pretty competitive. There are, quite a few programs out there trying to get funded and everything. So we want to help make sure that your application, has the blinking lights around it and everything, that it definitely stands out for you. So just some statistics from last year. In 2023, the SFC received 178 applications for funding, requesting over $12.5 million in funding. Of those 178 applications, 90 were funded. 55 of those were fully funded, and the total award was $5 million. So, and awards ranged from $5,000 to $245,000. So that $245,000 is, probably a program that was fully funded. And that average award was around $55,000. So this year, a little less money. There's only about $4 million that's available. So it's definitely going to be another, competitive summer for funding and everything. But that's what we're here for. We're here to help you, make sure that your proposal is, one of the ones that reaches the top. Okay. So what are some benefits of applying even if you don't get funded? It articulates your program, your goals and your outcomes. It just kind of helps you fine tune those, that writing process and everything for the next time. There is feedback given about your writing process and everything, or your grant proposal. It definitely gets you introduced to many funders all at once. So it's like that College Common app. You do one application and, a lot of different funders get to see it and everything. And, there's always a good learning opportunity. How can you make it a little bit better this time for the next time? Okay. So all applicants come, when on number 31, where it asks you to describe your program, they all say our program is great because we provide food and enrichment and, academics, and we do STEM and health and wellness, all those buzzwords and everything, which is great. Those are fantastic things that we should be providing for our youth. But the reviewers see it on every application that they're reading. So what we want is to help your program have jazz hands, have those sparkling lights around, be the one that gets the attention of your community reviewers and of the funders. So we have developed 6 strategies to help you, create those jazz hands. We'll talk about using your time wisely, how to tell your story and what makes you unique in that concise manner, but with enough wow to, capture that attention. We will define what success means to you. We'll talk about budgets and, making sure that it all makes sense and everything. And, we'll have some tips about making sure that you just follow everything. If it asks a question, answer the question, directly and concisely. So let's just jump right into strategy 1, which is time. So we want to make sure that we're making, a back map, that we've got a path of how we're going. Make sure that you create just a specific folder where you can put all of that information, get it all ready ahead of time, so that when you open up the portal to start doing your application, you're just copying and pasting or attaching or whatever the question is asking you to do. If you haven't already downloaded, there is a PDF version of the grant application. And Hassani, if you want to go ahead and drop the link to that, that should be the first link there, into the chat. And through that, you can go ahead and read through it first and kind of start preparing your answers on a separate Word document and everything. And then that way you can just copy and paste right into the portal as you go through. And then you're just ready to hit submit at the very end. Yes, ma'am. Yes, Lakeisha.
So we tried to copy and paste it from the PDF into a Word document, and it came up with different shapes, and it didn't have the spaces and everything else. So is there a specific way to do that? Because I know George he's under my name. You could rename George, but it just didn't copy and paste perfectly into a Google shared document.
Okay, so that would probably be one of the more technical questions
Okay.
that you would ask the SFC directly.
Okay.
I don't have a whole lot of
Okay.
how to work that technology and everything, because you don't want to type everything back and forth, be typing the questions and stuff like that. Yeah. Hassani, I think on that document there should be the link for technical assistance, if you want to drop that in. They do have some office hours that are drop-in times that you can pop into their Google, or you can send them an email and they can help you with those more technical questions. Yeah. But create that folder where you've got everything. That way it's all in one spot. That way when you are ready to sit down and start actually doing the application, it's all kind of in one spot. Those Google Drives are great if you have a couple of different people that are working on the applications together, so that you can delegate out some, hey, you take these numbers, you take these numbers, and put it all together and everything. Make sure to keep a copy of everything. Just make sure that if you're scanning things in or whatever, that you're just keeping copies of everything. Work on it little by little. Write what you can. If there's a question that you just don't know the answer to right now and everything, skip it, come back to it. Grab that information, do the easy stuff first. If you're one of those people that likes to get the check marks off first and everything. And just make sure that you leave time for fresh eyes. Get someone else to review, whether it's one of the TAs. And towards the end, I'll talk to you a little bit more about technical assistance. But we are here to be able to be that set of fresh eyes. Grab a parent, grab a youth in your program, like an older youth in your program, have them go ahead and read through it. Just someone that has an extra set of fresh eyes to be able to catch the things and make sure that you're saying everything that you want to portray. So just a little bit of a timeline. We're kind of right in the middle, being the first. So we've got about 15 more days until it is due. We have about 2 weeks. So coming up next week, you should kind of be at the point where you're having someone proofread through your proposal, that fresh set of eyes, looking through that set that might be like, hey, but we do this also, and everything. So having someone who really knows your program is great. Having someone who maybe doesn't know your program as well, to say, but hey, do you do this? Or can you explain to me a little bit more about how you do this in your program? Attend one of the TA sessions, which you are doing. And then don't forget, on the 15th, November 15th is your due date. So make sure that you've got, alarms going off on your on your calendars and stuff like that, so that you don't miss out. All right, so let's pop into strategy number 2, how to tell your story and be unique. So we will concentrate in this section on questions number 31, 32, and 33. So 31 talks about how do you describe and provide a high-level overview of your program in 1,000 characters, including spaces, which is about 200 to 300 words. So just kind of, to give you more of a word count in there. 32 asks you to describe what participants will experience on a daily and weekly basis. And we're lucky because last year those two questions were combined and you only had 1,500 words to write that. So now you have 2,000 to get that through everything. So they have kind of broken it out a little bit more to give you a chance to explain your program a little bit more. And then number 33 asks you to describe 3 ways you think participants will be better off as a result of participating in your program and how the skills that they learn in summer they can take with them beyond summertime. So let's go ahead. This part, this is your elevator pitch. This is where you are going to, the elevator pitch you've got from the first floor to the 15th floor to tell them and make a parent want to, sign your child up for a program. So think kind of about it that way also, is you really want to, use those buzzwords. You want to make sure that you are being as specific as possible without being overly wordy. Everybody does STEM. What makes your STEM program unique? Remember the rule of 3. So give 3 quick facts, 3 main things. Too many is too many and you're going to lose, but 3 kind of is a good rhythm, is a good succinct and everything. So make sure that you're giving just kind of like 3 main things about your program and not a laundry list of this is what we're going to do, what we're going to do, what we're going to do. Some examples, like if you are a STEM program, are you doing 3D printing? Are you doing lab research? Are you doing epidemiology? So use those real specific words that describe and really kind of give a better picture of what your program is going to do, what makes it stand out from another STEM program down the road. If you're doing Asia, I'm not sure if your program sound like maybe it's an art program or something like that. What makes your art program a little bit different than everybody else's? So try and just use those more specific words rather than an art experience or a STEM experience or a college and career readiness. What are you doing for college and career readiness? Are you doing how to write a common app? Are you, going to do essay writing? Are you going to do college visits? Or, even virtual college visits or something like that? Really what's going to make your program stand out and really wow and be that factor of, this is a program that funders think that is worth, giving you money for. So telling your unique story. Don't forget your who's, your what, your when, your whys. Think about those 21st century skills, your critical thinking, curiosity skills, creativity skills, collaboration, communication. How are your students going to improve their skills through the summer camp program? What is the experience going to be? Define hands-on. We are a hands-on activity. So what are kids going to be doing? Are they going to be doing, are you an animal program and you're going to go visit, a farm and they're going to actually get to milk cows or, something like that? Are you a nutrition program and you're going to be actually gardening and the children will be planting and weeding and, harvesting, food over the summer and things like that. So definitely, define, instead of using those really general terms, really kind of get in there with those specific skills that you are going to be working with your students. Tell where it's going to take place. Is it going to be in a science lab? Is it going to be in a field? Is it going to be, are you going to take field trips? Is it in a museum? Is it in a school? What kind of resources are you going to have in the areas where the program is going to take place? Question number 20 asks whether it's going to be a fully in-person program, if it's going to be a hybrid program, or if it's going to be fully virtual. Question 31 is also where you are going to want to explain if it's a hybrid program, what is the benefit of having it be a hybrid program? How is that going to benefit the youth that are going to be using your program and everything? So again, you want to really hit all those points, and make it as wow as possible in that 31, 32, and 33. 31, we want to talk about how would funding help reach your goals? How is this program going to help youth reach their goals? And then question number 40 talks about who is providing the instruction, what is their expertise, what are their feature partnerships. So you want to make sure that you are talking about the staff that you're hiring or contracting or volunteers that you have coming into your program, and what is their expertise, what is their level of working with youth, and also their expertise in the subject area that you are going to be working with the students this summer. Are there any questions so far? I know I've kind of thrown a bunch out at you and everything. I want to make this a experience. If you have any questions or anything. No? Okay. All right. So we want to make sure that you are including your youth and family voice in your grant application. Make sure that the youth that you are serving and those families have an opportunity to say something about the programming. Question 41 asks you about youth voice, using youth voice in your program. So you want to make sure that you're talking about what is it about your programs that students and families love. Quotes from current or former participants are really great. A quote from a parent about how your program helped their child develop skills or something like that. It's a really great place for you to put this into your grant application. And you also want to talk about how you are involving the youth in planning, feedback, program improvement. If this is maybe your second or third year of programming, if you survey your youth at the end of a session and they have said that something that helped you improve upon the program, or if you have year-round youth that help you plan out the summer and what they want to do during summer and everything, please make sure to include that in 21 or in 41. The community review process that your application will go through. This is where you're going to grab those community members. There is a rubric for community review, and Asani will throw the link to that in there. Make sure that you are reading through that rubric and following the tips that are on, following the standards that are on that rubric, as far as, and it'll be for each section that the community reviewers will review, and that will only be the part where you are actually talking about your program. So I believe it's numbers 30 through 40 something. I can't remember exactly the number off the top of my head. But read through that rubric and make sure that you are hitting all of those points so that you can get the highest score in there. The SFC is definitely putting a higher impact on the community review process. The funders will definitely get a lot more feedback from the community reviewers and everything, so they're putting a little bit more weight on that community review process. So make sure to read through, get that youth voice. This would be also a great place to make sure to have a student, like especially if you have older students, read through your proposal and provide you with feedback. The community reviewers are older youth age 14 through adults that would be like parents of youth that are in programs and stuff like that. So this is your constituency. Make sure you're writing so that they can read. Don't go way technical in your writing and everything. They say about an 8th grade reading level is probably a good reading level for most community reviewers. That way, and they can read through it, have a student read through it, have an older youth go ahead and read through your proposal just to make sure that everything is making sense. They're also great feedback as to, is this the wow? Is this a program that you would want to come to? Any questions about community review or youth voice? No? Okay. We're rolling through today. Okay. So strategy number 4 is we want to make sure that we're defining success on your term. What does success look like in your program? Question number 33 asks you to describe 3 ways that your participants will be better off as a result of your program. So, what are your goals? What are the SMART goals that your program has for children and youth for your summer sessions and everything? You want to pick goals that are relevant to your program, how you're going to measure it, what a successful summer program is going to look like. Are you going to have so many students that are ready to apply to college at the end if you're doing like a college and career readiness? Are you having kids that are working or have, kind of weren't able to stand up and talk about their art at the beginning of summer? At the end of the summer, they can stand up and talk about their art, so they've got more self-confidence and things like that. So just think about what those goals are and how you are going to measure it at the end of your program, and make sure to clearly state what those goals are and what success is going to look like coming out of your summer program. We want to make sure that you are describing, how are they going to build on their day-to-day experiences? What is going to, how are they going to improve their skills, their day-to-day skills? Are they going to gain better study skills? Are you a math program that's going to help them gain better math skills and get higher scores in the coming school year or something like that? So make sure that we're talking about what is going to define success for your students. All right, so budget. One important thing with your budget is just make sure that it all adds up. So your budget should match your narrative and your narrative should match your budget. So make sure that in that budget section, you are reading line by line. There's an opportunity for you to put in like a value and then articulate what you're going to spend that money on and everything. So just make sure that you are concise about what you're spending, what the SFC funds are going to be going to, especially if you are a program that has other sources of funding and stuff like that. Make sure that you're articulating what SFC money is going to be spent on and what your other funding streams are going to be funding. Make sure that you've got partnerships listed in there, especially if it, volunteers. We want to make sure that that's put in there. Any field trips, your staffing, put your staff salaries, even if your budget adds up to more than what you're asking from the SFC, put it all in there. They want to see the entire budget, not just what portion they're funding. So they want to make sure that, excuse me, that everything is sound, that you've got your numbers straight the whole way. Explain any significant investments that you have. Make sure that you put the total cost of your summer program and line by line, within there, make sure that you're accounting for each of those expenses that you have. So, whatever your total is, make sure that you've got it articulated throughout that narrative process and that all your numbers are adding up. Number 47 asks you to give additional information about your budget, including in-kind resources. So if you are getting a supply grant from Crayola for your art project or something like that, put that in there so that they understand where some of your art supplies are coming from. Because if you're running an art program and you haven't put in anywhere, purchasing any type of paper, paints, crayons, anything like that, where how are you going to run that program without those supplies? So if you've got a grant from Crayola or something like that, put it in there so that the funders see where the money's going through. And the community reviewers aren't going to be looking at the budget piece. Like I said, they were just looking at that programmatic piece. So this is really where the funders are going to actually be looking at your budget part and everything.
So I believe we have a question from Asia.
Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. So when, summer is several months away and the application is due like a week or two from now, how is that looked upon if the budget exceeds what's being asked for and the other components are not secure?
That is a great question. That would definitely be a question that you would want to relay to the SFC. They would be able to answer that question a little bit better than I would, as far as how to articulate well that you are trying to secure funds from another source. Put in there what will happen if you don't get the funding and everything. They also want to know, like, what is the impact going to be if they don't get if you don't get funded through SFC, or if you don't get funded from somewhere else, how is that investment going to continue to work and everything. So yeah.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah, definitely check with the SFC, and they would be able to kind of help you with that portion. And I believe there was a one of the professional development, one of the technical assistance sessions like this one, that was about budgeting. And the question may have been answered in that. Budget is, full disclosure, budget is not my biggest area of expertise. There is a link on SSC's website to the recorded sessions from before. Maybe going in and listening through that session may help you with that question also. Any other budget questions? Okay, we are rolling through. We might be done here pretty quickly today. So our last strategy, we want to make sure that we are following directions to the letter. So make sure that you have read all of the program guidance. Make sure that you're reading the entire application even before you start writing things, because there are some questions like that kind of expand on things. So you don't want to, like if you're talking in question 31, when you're giving the overview of your program, know that later they ask a question about your staff. So you don't have to go into a lot of detail about the staff that you're going to hire for your program, because you'll explain that in a later narrative. So you want to make sure that you know what you're reading kind of ahead of time. Again, because you have that limited budget on words and everything, you want to make sure that you're getting the most impact, and you don't want to answer a question in one that you'll answer again in a later question and everything. Make sure that you're reading through all the frequently asked questions on the website. Go through there, check it regularly. They do try and update if good questions come in. They'll put the information and how to where to find resources and things like that on there. And I did not update this last slide. You were able to ask questions. I believe it is through the 14th of November, not the 1st or the 10th of January. I apologize that I didn't catch that on the slide. But please make sure that you are asking questions, that you are getting all the information that you possibly can, attend the sessions. There will be another session on grant writing that is coming up next week, next Tuesday evening. It is a live in-person session at Most's Union Mill location. And Ellie, who is our executive director, she will be running that along with myself, and that'll kind of take that grant writing to the next step. It'll be sort of the excuse me, the next step in the grant writing process. So just some tips when you're writing: don't try and guess what your funders want. Highlight your priorities. Make sure that you are highlighting your program. Don't try and think, oh, they want to hear that we're doing this, and then you're not really delivering on that. Make sure that what you're putting in your proposal is what you're prepared to deliver on. And really just highlight yourself. You guys, I know you're out there doing great things with the youth in Baltimore and everything, and really just make it shine. Let them know the impact that funding your programs is going to have on the youth of Baltimore. Ask for what you need. Don't be afraid to ask for what you need in funding. You may get fully funded. You may only get partially funded. But again, ask for what you need. Go for the big ask. And if you fall short of that, just have a plan for what you'll need to, how to make up that gap and everything. But don't be afraid. Don't say, oh gosh, I think I'm asking for too much. As long as you can justify it in your budget and you have a reason for needing that funding and everything, go ahead and ask for it. Kind of reach for the stars, and hopefully you'll get something good in return. And then just focus on the core of your program. Remember why. Remember your why. Remember why you are, making these programs for the youth in Baltimore and everything. And really just focus on what is going to be the best use of the funding, what is going to bring the most success to the youth in Baltimore City. Okay, so group and individual TA sessions. I think Hassania will drop in the chat the link for the group and TA sessions. There are 4 technical assistance advisors, so myself and Ellie Mitchell, who is Most's executive director, and then there are 2 other TA providers this year, and there are links to our calendars in there where you can go and request a private one-on-one session. We are more than happy to read through your proposals, what you have written, even if you don't have everything, if you just want us to look at a particular section and say, hey, have I portrayed my program? Does this sound like an interesting program? Have I gone over? Have I hit all the main points and everything? We'll definitely read through those, and we can do a one-on-one session through Zoom and kind of be able to talk through that. If you're having trouble, if you're just like, I don't know where to go, I don't know how to get things started, we can even work with you, even if you don't have something written and you're just at that point where you're trying to figure out hey, I don't know what to write and everything. We can kind of talk you through, help you formulate your story and everything. And we want to be there to help you make the best grant proposal that you can. Okay. Here are some additional grant writing resources. So there's 12 quick tips for better grant writing, how to be a standout, 10 tips for writing grant proposals that get funded, and 7 tips for writing effective grant proposal. After this session is over, I will email you the recording of this session, and I will also email you a copy of the slides, so you'll have the links and everything to these resources. Any questions? Anything anybody wants to talk through for a minute or anything like that?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it falls under this category though, but I'm gonna take a shot. So out of the applicants that are chosen, how many are repeat grantees versus new novel ideas?
I know that I don't have an exact number for you,
Mhm.
but I do know that Shoshana was talking about they're really looking at like some of those grassroots programs this year. And a
Mhm.
lot of those grassroots programs, if your budget is under $300,000, you will have a really good chance of getting funded this year.
Mhm.
They are really looking to try and fund more of those smaller startup grant or programs and everything this summer. So I know she said grassroots startup under 300,000, would definitely have a higher chance of getting funded this summer.
Okay.
Yeah. One thing also to remember to put in, just some things that weren't in there that I know she talked about was, um, it's a part of your budget also is, our children, our families paying for your program. And even if families are paying for your program, make sure that you have some type of a clause in there for scholarships for families that cannot afford to pay for your program and stuff like that. Some kind of provision for families that can't afford your program. How are you using SFC money to, provide scholarships, to provide opportunities for those youth that, those low income youth that would not be served if they had to pay for your program.
Mhm.
Um,
I saw an organization that students did not have to pay, but
mhm.
they were required to fundraise. Is that a thing, or how does that work? Like they had the money allocated for whatever the case may be, but they asked the students to fundraise to go towards um, a trip.
I don't know the answer to that. I can I'm not sure that's one that they can answer through through their office hours and everything.
Mhm.
But I will send an email to Shoshana um,
Mhm.
and ask her about that. Let me just write that down.
And how is it looked upon around like stipends for students who are not youth works eligible?
That is a part that you can put into your budget. If you are paying
Okay.
stipends to youth works or to youth that are working for you, but they're not coming through the youth works, you can definitely put their stipends into your budget. Yep.
Okay. Well, what about like so students who participate in the program?
Yeah, that would be like that scholarship.
Okay.
If they can't pay and everything, and you're gonna, normally someone would have to pay for the week or the month or whatever, but you're letting them come without being able to pay and everything. That would be like those scholarships that you want to account for. You're
Okay.
gonna give 10 slots for 10 of your 20 slots, half of your slots are for youth that can't afford to pay for the program.
So like specifically, like let's say that we have a program that services third to fifth graders, right? Let's say like 9, 10, 11-year olds.
Yeah.
And they're not eligible for youth works. Can they still receive stipends for their participation in the program?
Yes. Yep. That would just be part
Okay.
of your budget. Yep. You would
Okay.
just put
Okay.
whatever stipends you're giving to them. Yeah, you would put that in your budget.
Okay. Perfect.
Yep. Yep. Because that
Great.
would be just part of your spending and
Mhm.
everything. And there is a line item in there that talks about stipends.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Any
Yeah, I
other?
have a question,
Yeah.
Crystal. Thank you for this informative presentation. Great job.
Thank you.
I know the application gives preference to organizations who are open to accepting youth beyond their current program, so
Mhm.
accepting youth through YouthWorks. But then there's a question that asks, what neighborhood are you primarily serving? Actually, there are two questions that ask about the neighborhood that you're serving.
Yes.
How should we take into consideration the youth that are not engaged in the program yet because we don't know who YouthWorks will assign to us in that question? Should we only consider youth that are already currently engaged and that we're going to request, but then, that limits we could reach beyond that. So I'm just curious how that question is really being evaluated.
Sure. I believe that the one question, I know which two questions you are talking to. I'm trying to skim back real quick through the thing. I think there was one that is like which neighborhood do you plan to host your program, and then where do you plan to recruit your participants from? So if you are, currently serving youth in Cherry Hill and Glen Falls, I don't know, I'm not familiar with Baltimore, so they may not even be areas that are close together or anything like that. But you're planning on picking, downtown Seton Hall and Edmonston Village as other, where you're going to recruit from. You would kind of try and put that in. Does that answer that question? Or are you saying because you don't know where some of the youth works children are going to be coming from?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if we say we're accepting youth workers, but should we only limit it to one neighborhood if we're open to taking youth from other neighborhoods as well?
The last question says, the last part says, please select, I don't know yet if you have not determined from where you will recruit participants. So I'm trying to think. Yeah, so you can hit the select all that apply.
Okay,
So you can hit like the ones where the youth are coming from, and then hit that I don't know yet, which kind of lets them know that you are open for this isn't just exclusively where you are recruiting from, but you'll be recruiting from, anywhere else. So,
perfect. That
and I
makes
think
sense.
that would, get those youth worker or your youth works kids in there.
Okay, yeah, I didn't think about selecting multiple ones and then also selecting I don't know, but that's a good approach though.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, because it
Thank you for
definitely
that.
says on here, select all that apply. Yep. Any other questions? All right. So, Sunny, if you want to drop the link to the feedback survey, we would definitely appreciate your feedback on how this session went and how we can improve it in the future. So please take a moment and click on that link that Asani dropped in the chat and let us know how we did. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. Are there any other questions before I give you about 30 minutes of your time back? So we went from 90 minutes to a 60-minute session. Great. Yeah, like I said, go ahead and if you are looking for an outside set of eyes to look over, I have some TA sessions still available. I know that Ellie has some TA sessions available, so we'll work with you. We'll read through your proposals. If you're stuck and you want some brainstorming help, someone to bounce ideas off of, that's another great use of those TA sessions and everything, just to have that extra set, that extra person to kind of chat with and figure out, how you can improve your grant proposal. And if there is nothing else, I will, like I said, give you a 30 minutes of your day back and let you guys give you 30 extra minutes to start writing your grant.
Thank you so much.
You are quite welcome.